And what was it like getting the keys and freshly walking into your store for the very first time? What was that like?
Well, finding the space was a challenge. Finding the spot was like Herculean task because I was like, oh, we're like on the heels of like a pandemic. Like it's still kind of chaotic and like it must be easy to get a space to lease. Like people are probably going to be super lenient. No, like every place I looked at was like minimum 5-year lease. And I was like, do you know what's happening in the world right now? Like who's doing this? And I saw all those places that I said no to still vacant as of like a couple months ago. And it's like, I wonder why,
right?
You know, like I wonder why they're vacant. Greed. So yeah, it was crazy because I found spots I liked. There was a spot I actually really liked. I don't know if this one's open or not, but you know, on Division, Pine Street Biscuits, Pine State Biscuits.
It's
Street. Pine Street Biscuits.
Pine Street Biscuits.
Okay. So right next to it, there's like a little patio outside, and then there's a storefront to the left of it. I was looking at that storefront, so I would share the patio with them, and weekends would have been popping off. It would have been crazy over there, but the rent was insane. It was like twice what I'm paying now after a few rent increases at this spot, and it was a 5-year lease minimum. And I was like. Damn. And it's a smaller space than I have now. And I was like, what's happening? So finding the space was tough. I looked at maybe 8 to 9 different spaces with like going down the rabbit hole and then couldn't come to terms, fell through. And then I found my space on Lombard. And Lombard, you know, is an interesting street. It's... I say that with so much love. No, I am so grateful. I am so grateful for Lombard. My community out there is amazing. We're like the Barnacle on Kenton. Like, you know, like Kenton's super cool. I really admire, and I'm friends with Michael Speck, who owns Specs Records in Kenton. Like he's like the record store right there. He's like 2 minutes up the road from me. It just feels like such a different world. Like you just make a right, you go a couple blocks, and it's like super quaint and cute, and little cafes and like comic book shop and a record store. Right. And it's like it's very fun. And then you turn around the Lombard, it's like it's like a horror movie. Yeah, but
fentanyl.
Yeah,
drugs.
I do think that despite Lombard being up and coming, I would say. I think there is a cool community of places that are kind of popping up there and places that are just like, it's becoming a little more accessible to hang out in. Like there's a spot called Tiny Bubble Room. That's a really nice little bar up there that does great Cajun food. And I don't know. There's just something about helping to like bring some life to the area. So a destination for people to go enjoy and like relax and hang out. It feels really cool because Portland's full of spots like that in every corner. And I feel like Lombard doesn't have a lot of them. And I'm glad that I can be one, you know? So to answer your question that I totally ran from.
I love this.
Walking into the space for the first time, I actually made a YouTube video sitting in the empty space when I signed the lease. And I looked back at that maybe like a year ago, and I was like looking at how different the space looks now that it's like had so many iterations of the way it's looked. And it just feels like a decade has passed. It feels like I spent so much time in there because I mean, I physically spend a lot of time in that room, but it was crazy to see it in its first iteration ready to open, like after spending all the time getting all the fixtures made and like the walls set up and pricing everything for opening and like all that process, but like seeing it and standing there and be like, wow, this is a record shop and I built this. And the first version looked like ass. It was so bad. Literally the middle of the room had a folding table with like boxes on it as opposed to like proper shelving. And you can still see those photos on Google Photos because you can't get rid of them. Like there's no way to remove them. There's no way to remove them. And it looked horrible. I can't believe anyone came back to the store after that. I think where it's at now, it looks amazing. I'm super proud of the way the store looks and feels and the flow of it and the aesthetics and all the art on the walls. I think it looks great. But I just remember the feeling of opening the door on opening day and seeing a line of like 40 people standing out the lot, out onto Lombard Street, risking their lives on Lombard. I'm just kidding.
Don't go right.
Yeah, stay there.
There's a guy. Fentanyl.
I just remember being like, this is awesome. This is amazing. I felt the level of pride I felt seeing that was unmatched with anything I had done in my life up to that point. I was like, I built this out of nothing, and people are here to support it.
That's sick.
Thank you.
It really is. It's almost like the question I had setting up for another question about what's currently going to be going on very, very, very soon. But I think before I ask that question about the glorious anniversary, what about yourself?
So I was going to ask, like, when you were like shopping around like Portland for like locations, you brought up like there's a place down in Division, there's a place like looking for like 5-year leases.
Yeah.
Was there like a part of Portland that you were like looking like that was your first pick, like North Portland or?
It's a good question, and I was still learning Portland at the time, so there was so
Gotcha.
much of like not knowing what the pockets were. Like I knew, like when I first moved here, I knew like, oh, Division's cool, Mississippi's cool, Alberta's cool, like Burnside's has a lot of stuff going on. Like I did like
Hey, just say what you got to say.
there's a lot of great stuff on Burnside, but like
It's a cluster.
yeah. Sounds like Lumbar. No, I didn't really have a place in mind.
Okay.
But what I am extremely grateful for, and that something that I appreciate every single day of my life, is that I got a store location that's so close to my house. I'm 5-minute drive from the store. If I were on Division, it would have been like a 25-minute commute each way every day. And I mean, it's not horrible compared to LA standards. Like I trained for that. But oh man, it's so nice to be 5 minutes away. So no, I didn't have a spot. I thought Division would have been cool because I know it's like a really cool part of town. Everyone loves Division, and it would have done really well, I think.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that I chose the space based on the specs, like the size, the layout, and the terms,
Gotcha.
rather than I need it to be in this part of town. And the other aspect was when I opened the store, one of the main goals for me was to have a space for artists to perform. So I needed, at first I wanted like a full out stage section. And then when I realized that was not feasible based on every location I looked at, I was like, we could probably fit a band here. But I wanted to have the space to be able to put, first of all, like I don't like a claustrophobic record store, and there are plenty of them that exist that are great and they do well and people love them. But for me, I love having the space to move around, navigate, not feel like you're kind of being closed in by the bins and feeling like you can just like breathe a little bit. So I wanted a spacious spot. And as I learned in certain parts of town, that significantly raised your rents. Go figure. It's almost like it's a weird concept, right?
Square footage was that?
Yeah, square footage raises rents. Like it's like a weird formula.
Are those places still empty?
The places I looked at?
Oh, the place. Never mind.
They're still empty.
Yeah, a lot of them are still empty. Yeah. There was one in Buckman that is still empty, and I pass by it all the time. I'm like, should have gave me a better deal.
See? It's good to laugh at your enemies. Aha.
Yeah, enemies is strong, but definitely villain.
Villains.
Why'd you go straight to enemies?
No, every place that I looked at, I will say this with 100% confidence and certainty. Every single spot I looked at for the store, I am grateful I did not sign the lease because I could not imagine the store being anywhere else than it is right now.
Oh, man.
You crying?
Huh?
Are you crying?
I just like I'll say this. I just like being a part of, because even on our last segment, thank you. In our last segment, we'll definitely talk more about like content and YouTube and things of that manner. But like, I really like when people are doing it and like they're themselves. But I feel like a lot of people do this like for the charades, and like I can feel the mileage and the years of like putting yourself out there, and it's just really good meeting those types of people because everyone else, there's like some gimmick, and I can just like feel your passion. I can just feel all that, and I'm just like, I'm inspired. I truly am, and like, I'm just happy for you, man.
Thank you.
Like genuinely happy.
It is cool to do what you love, and for a long time, post acting, pre-store, I was not doing what I loved. I worked various marketing jobs that were like collecting a paycheck and navigating like the weird corporate world of like doing nothing for a paycheck and trying to like pretend you are doing something and it'll be like, what does this company do? And like, why am I here? And why am I not fired? Like, just like that. I mean, like, that's most of corporate America. There's just people wandering around doing nothing, getting paid. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But that wasn't fulfilling, you know? And then you said you want to get to content later, but like, I was always doing the YouTube in conjunction with a full-time job. So I could never give my all to the music stuff because I had to spend 40 hours a week draining my soul at something that didn't matter to me at all. Are you from? Maybe I shouldn't shit talk this company.
Go for it.
Do you know Loot Crate?
Yeah.
It's a company. It's like a subscription box for like geek and gamer.
Yeah,
products.
Just send you random crap.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
And they were one of the biggest subscription boxes in America for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe even in the world. But I worked there for 2 years and I did like growth marketing. I don't even know what is that is. I don't know. I don't know what I did. Like, but I was doing growth marketing and it was just a chaotic company. Like there was just so much internal strife and politics and like, yeah, like I will say this, the best way I can describe that company is that on, you know, we have all these like special days every day. It's like National Girlfriend Day or whatever. There was like an Employee Appreciation Day.
Anniversaries.
Oh, anniversary. Right. Right. That's what it is. No. There was an Employee Appreciation Day that was like the nationally recognized holiday. Yeah. And they laid off 40% of the work staff on that day. That's the best anecdote I can say to like.
Damn.
That's wild. That's so wild.
Yeah.
Damn.
That place was crazy. All for knickknacks in a box.
Right. I think they peaked in like 5 years and I haven't heard about them since.
I think they still exist.
The Animal Crossing release.
They're on Lombard if you turn right.
Yeah, they're right next to me on Lombard. Yeah, exactly.
One of my questions for you is when it comes to filling the store, have you ever had to fight to get some vinyls in there? Like really some blood, sweat, and tears?
Can you elaborate on that question? Did I fist fight anyone for records? Yes. No.
Actually, extrapolate.
No. Legally, I can't.
Okay.
A people's elbow.
Yeah. I give people the. I don't know any wrestling moves.
Okay.
I was about to say one. I was like, I don't have one. What do you mean? Like
bicep punch,
Falcon punch.
There we go. No, I was just a little. It's my fun way of. What is it like to fill the store with records? Have you ever had a difficult record to find to get in there? You know, obviously, have you had to be suave and smooth, or you know, have you had to rip some things out of people's hands?
Well, I will say that with used records, so here's my number one advice. If anyone's watching this and they're thinking about opening a record store, here's the number one piece of advice I can think of. Make sure that you have a strategy to continuously get good collections of used records. Because for me, I'm at a point now where I'm lucky enough to have people trust me, recommend the store to their friends who might want to sell their records. And I get walk-ins all the time of people trying to sell their records. And sometimes it's absolute garbage. But oftentimes it's I mean that it's like, you know, it's somebody that's like found them at a Goodwill and like just like here you have this trash. Like it's like, you know, it's like stuff that's just like beat up and like covers ripped and you're like you can't even tell what the record is. Like that happens. Yeah. But then you get some great stuff. Like the other day, like yesterday, this guy walked in who's a regular of the shop. He'd been coming in basically since around opening, like every couple months I'd see him. And he was just like, I'm selling my records. He's like, I want to sell them to you. And it was just maybe 100 records and it was all fire. It was like Weeknd, Drake, Travis Scott, like Frank Ocean official presses, like all kinds of crazy stuff that's great for the shop. And he just was like, I want you. And then I make an offer on it after I look him up and price him out. I will say it's so important to get good used records so you can constantly have turnover. We get a lot of compliments at our shop because we try to put out stuff all the time that feels exciting. A lot of shops I used to go to back in LA and, you know, you would go there every 6 months and you would be flipping through the records and be like, I've seen all these records. Like they don't like these all feel like they're just the same records. And that's how you lose regulars. That's how you don't gain loyalty. So you need to be able to like, it's hard to compete with new records. New records are very expensive for even like the distribution. Like, for example, if I was going to buy Good Kid, Mad City and I wanted to sell it for like $32 in store, I probably paid like $25 for it, like wholesale. The margins are not there. So if you're plunking in all your money onto new inventory, unless you're a big store like Music Millennium that can justify it, you're going to do poorly. Like you just can't make enough money to keep the wheels moving without having good used stock, because the margins on used, even when you're paying well for them, which I think we do, because people continue to bring us stuff, it's still so much better, the margins, than trying to buy a new record. So you have to make sure you have good used records. And we got so lucky with some collections over the past few years that just sustained us for months and months, because there's just thousands of great records. We just got one from a guy who lived 5 minutes from the shop. He had 2,500 records in his basement, collecting only in the 90s and early 2000s, which is when everybody was dumping their vinyl. He was hoarding all of it. He collected everything from alt rock and rock to trip hop to downtempo to reggae to punk to R&B. And he had first pressings of all of these extremely sought after albums. Soundgarden, Biggie, Jay-Z, like Pearl Jam, Green Day, Weezer, all this stuff. And it cost a fortune, but I was like, this is the kind of collection that transforms a shop. You know, like we are going to eventually make a lot of money on this, and it's going to bring a ton of eyes onto us, because you never see those. Like a pressing from the 90s when they weren't making a lot of vinyl. Those are extremely desirable for certain records. Like he has a Biggie Ready to Die in the shrink with the original hype sticker from the